Now that we've brought our user and track data together so we can get information about the user that posted a given track with our create track mutation, let's add two more queries to our track schema so that we have the ability, in addition to creating tracks, to both update and delete tracks. So let's head to schema.py in our tracks app, and we'll add another class, first called update track, and it's going to have one field called track, which will provide the returned track on, the returned updated track on it. And all of its fields are going to be supplied by the track type class. Then for the arguments, we want to provide all the same arguments that we had in creating a track, so we can just copy those from its arguments class. But in updating a track, we're also going to need to provide the track ID in order to figure out which track needs to be updated. So we'll add a track ID argument, and that's going to be an int. And while these other arguments are optional, we'll need to provide, in any case, the track ID. So we're going to set that to required. Then for the resolver, we'll pass through self info, track ID, title, URL, and description. Once again, we're going to grab the current user from context, so we'll create a user variable and set that to info.context.user. Then we're going to find the individual track by taking track.objects.get. We're going to get it according to its ID as provided by the track ID argument, and we're going to store it within a track variable. And what's important here when we're updating a track is we want to make sure that the user updating a given track is the one that created it. We can get information about who created a given track from the posted by field, and that's going to come from the track that we found according to its ID. So we'll add a conditional. We'll say if track.postedBy, if the user on posted by is not equal to the user that we're getting from context, then we're going to raise an exception where we'll say not permitted to update this track. Otherwise, if the user updating it is the one who created it, we will reassign the track title to the value on the title argument, and the same for the track description. We'll set that to what's on the description argument, and also for the URL. To persist these changes, once again, we'll use track.save, and finally we'll return update track with its one field track. So to register this new mutation, update track, we need to add it to our base mutation class, or update track be set to update track.field. And now we'll save and test this out, make sure our server's running. So if we try executing this mutation without providing our JSON web token, we should get an error. So we'll add our update track mutation, and you might need to refresh in order to make sure that update track is there on your root mutation type. We'll update the fourth track, so we'll pass in a track ID with the integer 4. Then we'll add our title. Let's say we want to rename this to track 5 instead of track 4. And then the description, track 5 description. The URL will be track5.com. And then the subfield for this will be track, and then on track we can get the ID, title, description, URL, etc. So when we run this, we should expect an error. Yep, and we do. not permitted to update this track. That's good. Now let's head over to Insomnia. But before we do that, let's take a look at our tracks and see for each of them who they were posted by. We'll get the username on the posted by field. So we see the last one was posted by Doug. So I'm going to get a token using the token auth mutation by running this with a different user, in my case, the user read. And I'll get a token for read so that I can see that our exception is raised if the posted by value on the given track isn't equal to the current user. So first of all, I'll copy the token here, and I'll head over to Insomnia, and I'll change the authorization token after the JWT. And once that's changed, I'll grab once again the update track mutation, and I'll try running this, and we should get an error. And once again we get our error, not permitted to update this track. That's good. Now let's sign in with the correct user who actually did post the track. So we'll change this back to Doug in my case. I'll get a token for him. And then swap out the JWT on the authorization header. And now if I try executing this again, instead of getting for the fourth track, the title track 4, when this is run, it should be changed to track 5. And if we rerun the tracks query in Graphical, we should see that change reflected.